Welcome to Surviving Schizophrenia with Steven. My name is Steven. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm here with my dad, Steve, today.
We'd like to answer the question, can a person with schizophrenia feel empathy? So empathy has an emotional and a cognitive aspect. And those two aspects can be severely impacted with someone with schizophrenia. So Stephen, before we get into answering that question, how in your life, you've got some experience with schizophrenia.
Yes, I have had schizophrenia now for about 12 years. I fell when I was 12 years old, back in 2012. It's been a very hard experience for me, but I've been working through it, especially in the last few years, and I've recovered a lot.
Empathy has two components, the emotional component and the cognitive component. The emotional component is that ability to feel what the other person feels, right? Empathy is being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, for instance, so to speak. So the emotional component is that ability to feel the emotion the other person's feeling. The cognitive component of empathy is the ability to understand, right, and comprehend another person's feelings and thoughts. We're talking about your ability to feel what someone else feels.
Yeah, so I don't always get social cues right away, but I can still feel empathy for sure. I might not understand people as well now with my schizophrenia. I do feel a little. I've been isolated. I was isolated for about, well, a good 3-4 years, right? At the beginning.
Yes.
And since then, it's been really hard for me to be around people and understand what their social cues and what their emotions might even mean. That doesn't mean I can't feel the emotion. It's just I don't always get it right away.
Are you able to, if someone is crying and distraught, and are you able to, feel that emotion yourself and make it almost your own emotion, so you can not only intellectualize what that person is going through, but you can actually feel that emotion?
Yeah, in the case you're saying, if someone's crying, I do feel sad, and I want to help console that person. And in almost a different way, though, too, I end up taking it on myself sometimes. If someone around me is sad, or other emotions like really stressed out, for example, I feel that too. And I sometimes take on that extra stress that comes from that. If that makes sense.
Right. And as far as the cognitive functioning and your ability to, understand what that person might be going through, is there any issues that you feel that make it more difficult for you to do that?
I'm not. Well, for a while when I was psychotic, yes, I couldn't have done that. But since I have recovered from my psychosis years ago now, yeah, sorry, this is part of the issue with schizophrenia. Sometimes my mind goes blank. Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, so what we're talking about is the cognitive processing of and the understanding that someone is having, a certain situation. So the cognitive aspect then of that empathy would be not only feeling, if they're crying, that, oh gosh, I can feel what it's like to cry, and I can feel that, I can feel what they're feeling, but also to understand what they're going through. Okay, which is maybe a complex situation, requires, cognitive thinking as far as, okay, what is that person going through? What's their life like? You almost have to step out of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it must be tough with schizophrenia, because with schizophrenia, it seems that, the tough part is keeping it together just for yourself.
True.
But can you then intellectualize how other people's lives are going, right? That kind of cognitive.
I think it's harder, for sure. But I can. I think it just takes a little more on my part to try to understand what they're going through and intellectualize what they're feeling and why. I can, but I do find it a little harder, I'd say. And also, sometimes I just say the wrong thing. And I don't always mean it to be like how I say, if that makes sense. For example, I was at a funeral years ago, and I went to the person, no names, and I was like, are you okay? I didn't mean to say that. But for some reason, like I had planned for it, I'm not going to say that. You don't say that to someone whose parent just passed away. But even though in my mind I had said I'm not going to say that, in the moment, maybe I just got confused and missed the cues or something. But I said that, and I regretted that. I didn't mean to be like that, because of course he's not okay. But I couldn't in the moment figure out how to say it any better, maybe. I couldn't understand what else to say, and I got kind of like frozen up almost, and went with that and said, are you okay? Obviously he was not okay.
All right, that's interesting, and I think a great explanation of what someone with schizophrenia, the challenges that someone with schizophrenia faces, because at core, schizophrenia, is a thought disorder. There's disturbances in the thought process, and I think you made a very good point that someone in psychosis, I wouldn't expect to have empathy or to be able to feel empathy. But
or to think rationally, for that matter.
Right. And schizophrenia is so misunderstood. The hope is, with schizophrenia, it requires psychosis, but the hope is that psychosis would lift, which it did with you.
Right.
It would lift, and then the person with schizophrenia is out of psychosis, but the schizophrenia, kind of the residual, so to speak, of the schizophrenia for many people would be this cognitive difficulties, and some slowness there, and also just kind of a dysfunction there in the thought process. Not always, but occasionally.
Yeah.
And in feelings, right? How to interpret feelings. So it's very complex.
I think even my own feelings I don't always understand right away. Like I was with my dad, like I'm not feeling well, and we'll talk for a few minutes, and I'll be like, oh, I'm feeling sad, and this is my depression, or something like that. Or, oh, I'm just anxious because I went to the store earlier today and that was too much for me. So I don't always even realize that myself.
Right, and then there's also times when, say, we'll be in the car going to, Costco, and just be the two of us, and we'll be talking about maybe potential videos that you might shoot, and I might be excited and talking. It might, and sometimes you can miss cues there. It's not necessarily just you, though. It can maybe be the way I'm expressing myself. But I know that on occasion you've said, "Dad, are you angry? Are you upset?" And I've said, "Oh, no." And we're just talking in the car as we go, and I'm not at all upset at all. There's no.
Yeah, I think I take a elevated level of voice, like almost not yelling, but just like elevated. And I think that, oh yeah, they're, in my mind, they're mad at me, or they're yelling, or they lower their voice, they're upset with me maybe, when they're not actually doing that. They're just speaking with a normal cadence that I just don't fully understand.
Right, so can a person with schizophrenia feel empathy? Absolutely.
Yes.
There's no question that capacity is there, but I think that someone with schizophrenia, it's potentially more difficult to, it may take more time.
Yeah.
With respect to both the the emotional and cognitive parts of empathy, because of the dysfunction that those present in schizophrenia. Yeah. So we've got wrap up. We've got some articles that we can put links to in the description.
Yes, for sure.
For more information on, can a person with schizophrenia feel empathy? And it's been a well-researched topic. It's interesting because, the emotional and cognitive dysfunction in schizophrenia is implicated severely in many people. And of course, everyone is different. Everyone's experience with schizophrenia is different.
For sure.
And
that is very true.
yeah, there's a broad spectrum.
Yeah, that's for sure. So if you made it this long in the video, I just want to say thank you. Appreciate you so much being here. And we both hope you have a happy and healthy rest of your day. And we hope to see you in the next video.
Yeah, we hope to see you in the next video. Take care. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.